with the underside all completely done, as you can see, we've now masked up. So we've gone around, we followed the instructions basically. I've put in some little sweep areas you may be able to see on here and on the other side, in the back. The instructions are a little bit grey how this actually all works, so I sort of improvised a bit. I'm imagining that's what would have happened. And again, up here on the front. So basically, we've got this leading edge strip. It's pretty selective just to this particular variant we're doing. And from our point of view, we're actually doing this one here. Okay, so we're actually doing the 5kg54 one, and as I say, you've got the leading edge strips need to be painted, so we've masked it. The other versions don't, so obviously it is very sort of kit specific. Now as you can see, we've got this splinter camo. It's hard edge, it's pretty straightforward to do, so we don't have to worry too much about it. So what we're going to do, we're going to work at it in two ways. We're going to come along and we're actually going to start with the lightest colour first. So down here, we've got the RLM 70 and 71, which is 2 shades of green. We're going to start with the lightest one. I've already put a nut in and we've given it a good shake. So actually what we can do then is start to get the actual paintwork down onto this one and everywhere around. Again, because we're doing it in a splinter form, it's going to have hard edge masking, okay, and we can make our way through. So all we've got to do is make sure you've got enough. So you want to go slightly over the areas you actually need. So in the old airbrush, we just blow out what we've got in here. Quick swirl round, quick tip, blow that through. Just gonna grab a bit more roll. Okay, so exactly the same technique as we did before. Okay, but we're going to have to replicate it twice more. So we're going to be doing that thing, first colour down, then we're going to lighten, darken to mottle it up and everything else like that. So again, very straightforward way of doing it. So we're just going to come in with the base colour first. All right, so we're just going to pop this in here. Now we're not going to need gallons and gallons, but as you might notice with all this spraying, I'm only putting in a bit at a time. Then we do a bit of work, bit at a time, then we do a bit of a work. Now, when you're doing this type of splinter stuff, especially when it's a very close camo to actually what we got here, it's best to take your time and just roughly work out where you're going to go first, and then keep your instructions to hand so you can see them at all times. You'll just make things a lot easier. So we're doing the lighter color, all right? So immediately I'm looking down here to sort of roughly work out where it all is. So we've got it, and it's going to come in. Check our flow. So we're going to come in something like here. Okay, and then it's going to go more like this, okay, and then it's going to come outward, okay. Now they don't have to be exact, okay, but you want to be somewhere in the ballpark. Now this one down here, it's showing it, then it's going to come from the light area just up slightly, okay, and then it's just going to come a gentle line down here. Okay, and then it's going to come back to this back flat, and then basically you're just going to fill in this section. So we're going to do it as we were saying, just like we did last time. You don't want to completely get rid of your pre-shading here. You want to take it to that area where you can just about still see it. Okay, so we're just going to put down, because we've got primer down on this already, we can come in, so we need to wrap it around the front, so we're just going to lightly just going to spray this over. Okay. Just until it's disappeared. So this entire aileron set is going to get a bit. Okay, making sure we do the leading edge. Then we need to flip over. Okay, and we can work out where we are, and we just need to do this bottom edge just like this. Okay, so how far do we go? We're going to come to around about here. Okay, so we can just blow that in, and then just making sure you do that leading edge. All right, and then when we're looking down on it, we've got the same thing. We can see, got a little bit of glare here. So just need to tidy up that little area. Just making sure we overshoot. Okay, that's that section done. Then the next one, we've got this area, which will be this guy just down here. Okay, so we just need to come from the corner. Okay, and it's going to come over. Actually, it comes right over. Okay, over to the actual. And again, we're just going too far, so we know exactly what we've got to do. Okay, then it's going to come down, and then this entire section is going to be the lighter shade. I'll just stuck my arm in it, so no trouble with this big stuff. And then it's going to come back on a nice straight line. Okay, so again, we're going to orientate how it's going to work. All right, so having it in your hand, and then it's going to go from this guy here, and it's just going to go to this one there. Okay, so that looks all pretty good. Sorry, just used that up already. So I'm not putting tons in here. All right. Okay, that takes care of that. And as you can see, it actually isn't as tricky as it may seem. All right. It's just a lot of this is going to be handling it, how you're actually going to physically grab it. So again, we can do the tail section. So actually what we'll do, we're just going to grab this bit here. Okay, and we've got the same thing. So this one is going to be something like this. Okay, it's going to come in and it's going to come to the tail, so it actually beds in a bit into the tail, and the entire section is going to be something like that. And on the other one, this one's going to come from this side, coming out. Then we got a sort of vertical, and then it kicks at the end. So again, going to it disappears, then stop. All right, then we can just work up. Now I'm going to use this central area so we can physically get hold of it. All right, because that'll be the trouble in a minute. We've got actually nowhere to grab it. So we're going to do all the vertical sides first, and then we're going to come back. So with this one here, we've got this section just here. Just take that down a fraction. Okay, so that section goes to there. Then we've got one, this one is going to go on a diagonal right the way up. Okay, it's going to go up to there, and then from this guy, it's going to go here, and then it's going to go across. And then from, we're working it as in here. This one is going to go across there. Let's try a little bit more paint just in here. Okay, and then we've got the tip, which I think is going to be something around about there. Okay, happy with how all those are. The pre-shading, as I said, I thought this colour being a little bit thinner. What I'm going to do is just thin this just a little bit. Okay, just a tiny bit in there, purely to help the pre-shading to come through. Okay, because it actually covers extremely well. I'm actually liking this paint. More and more I use it, the more I like it. Okay, so we're just gonna fill in this area up here. Okay, and then this one down here. Nice big areas, and as you can see, where we had no problem with it all clearing before, now we can. But on the other action, as you can see, with every action there's a reaction. You can see it gets a little bit cloudy in here. So between both of them, immediately it's clearing. So it's going to have a couple of coats on that just to take care of it. Okay, so this one just down here, just going to give it another light go over with the thinner paints. That'll just aid it to smooth down and be a bit nicer. Okay, same with them. Alright, so we're just going to let that dry off, and then we're just going to build it up. Just down there like that. Okay. So a few drops of thinners and a mix. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to carry on doing this right the way over, then we'll stop, come back together, go light, go dark as we've done before, okay? Okay, so there we go. That's all the light green on. So we're going to do exactly the same as we did before. So we're just going to thin this a little. Okay, so we've got like 1/2 ml in there, 1/2 ml of green. Okay, and then we're going to just add a few drops of white into that mix again. And we're basically just going to lighten up and go around and take care of it. Okay, 5 drops. I always sort of start with a 5 mark, but as I say, there's no hard and fast way to this. As you can see straight away when you look at the colour, this is a lot lighter. Okay, so we'll just give that a bit of a good mix. Okay, happy how that is. We'll just blow that through, see what we got. Okay, looking good. So, usual thing, centres of panels, really just trying to lighten all of this one up. So, just trying to find somewhere to grab this. Okay. So, usual thing, we're just going to randomly going in there, but turning off the air. We're just trying to lighten up a little the centres. Okay, just to break it all up, and you can see that pre-shading jumps straight away as soon as you hit this type of thing. When you get in near corners, remember to go over the top and go past, otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to end up with some very awkward looking paint schemes. But as I say, just keep it quite light and random. Obviously around these areas we're just going to go round and not over the top of some of these parts. As I say, the trouble I have is obviously the studio lights is actually being able to see without leaning forward too far. But again, don't think you have to go absolutely everywhere. You know, you can just dab from one to the other, go heavy on one, not so much on another. Okay, as you make your way right the way through. Because what we're going to do, we're going to go around and sharpen up and take care of a lot of all this stuff afterwards. Okay, we're going back with original colours and things. So every now and again, just go down, blow out. Okay, because all we're trying to do here is break things up. Okay, we're not trying to do too much. Okay, we're just trying to keep it all looking very nice. I'm just wondering. Just grab one of these and we grab a bit of this. I'm just trying to make this easier to manoeuvre and to turn around and things because it's catching obviously on the tape underside. So I'm thinking maybe it might be better on something like this. There we go, it's a bit easier. Okay, but again, it's just such an awkward big lump to deal with. All right, so as I say, don't worry too much about it. It's all just part of the fun. But as you're going through, you're just trying to generally lighten up. Just to break it up. And the thing is, also the thing is you don't worry too much about is what this looks like. It's that the effect we're going for will jump out and pop a lot more when the other colours come in. Okay, when you put the darker shade next to it, it should all lighten. Okay, quick blow right over, and we'll just move down here. Okay, stuff on the tail, central panels. And again, as I said, it's just a random action you're trying to achieve here. When you're on a body of an aircraft, especially when it's curved, remember to do that vertical thing. We spoke about it on previous builds, the He111 build and everything else. This way you get that sort of effect of dragging down, all right? And certainly don't forget also around the glass areas as well, because otherwise it's going to look a bit odd that the front end's absolutely perfect, yet the back's falling apart. All very warm, all right? So there we go, that's that section down just like that. All right, now if you wanted to, obviously you can come along and you can do a few more things to it. You could then add a little bit more light to this, a little bit more dark, and literally just change its tone. One thing I am thinking of doing slightly is I'm just going to take the original color, just going to come back, putting a good dollop of it in there. Now we're not going to thin it, because this will thicken it slightly, and obviously we'll get better coverage. And that way we can just go round and we can correct any little mistakes we have. Alright, but also what it'll enable us to do is just to tidy up and to give some other little areas. So I'm thinking just up here on the roof area, okay, I'm just going to pop it in, and we're just going to come out, and I'm just going to specifically target little areas to patch, okay, as if it's had repairs and sprays, and it's literally just to try and overcoat some of these things. Alright, so as I said, it's not a thing you're going to do to absolutely everything, but remember your little thing about popping into various areas to do the little Tetris shapes we spoke about before. So obviously by that we're on about going into corners of joins and seam lines, and it doesn't have to be anywhere, it can just be literally on the wing if you wanted it to be. And we're just literally trying to break it all up just a little bit. Now the pre-shading is looking very heavy down here. To be honest, it's not as heavy as that, I don't think. Alright, so, but we're just trying to get in just to break this up so we get that natural effect of wear as well as everything else. Alright, but obviously the more randomised you make it, the better this will look. And don't forget, you're going to be doing this for all the other items as well. Okay. But on this scale you can be quite heavy-handed. Alright, we're just going to do a quick clean of the needle. Okay, so every now and again you get a little bit of build up, blow it all through, pinch the needle clean, and you get the little tapers each side on your paper towel that's just showing you. Okay, so we're just going to pop down the tail. Making sure you've got your leaded edge covered so they join up with other things, okay? So don't have it so you've got a bit of plastic left on show or primer, okay? And again, this is one of those areas where it probably won't do too much, but when the wash comes in and those areas like that, this will suddenly jump out and be a lot more poignant. But just try and keep it random. Okay. Every now and again, blow through, clean the needle, make sure you're happy. Okay, and you can just carry this on. Right the way around. Right, so what we're going to do, have a good look around it, make sure that the camo adds up, so if you need to touch in any way, do it like that. Give this one a couple of hours to dry off, and then we can remask it all up, and we can do exactly the same with the RLM71, the darker green. Okay, so top coat dry. Okay, so we started masking up, going around everywhere. To be honest, it's one of those very long, very laborious jobs. But unfortunately, it's just no getting around. But in some ways, it's easier than messing around with camos and various things. Okay, so we can just pop a little bit of tape just around the front here. So as you can see, we've gone around, masked it up. Remember, just check it, have a look at it, see if it's okay, different areas. To be honest, the instructions aren't that clear. You've got the normal trouble when you're doing these types of things that you look at the overhead and you can roughly work out where they all are, no problem at all. And then you come to these side views and you're just trying to second guess, especially this one, where it all goes. Okay, so I've used a little bit of creative license, I think, on some of them. I think I've probably got it dead right now, but certainly, you know, you're never quite sure, you know, until you unmask it, how good it's going to look. But something like this is quite easy. We can obviously go back and do a different stage. So what we're going to do now, we're going to move over to our RLM 70, which is the darker of the two greens. Okay, so what we're going to do, obviously, good old mix. Again, we don't want to kill anything underneath, so we're just going to straightforward go through with a little bit of thinners, not tons of it, not going to need loads. So probably got about just under 1/2 mil in there. There we got our top colour, so we're going to go in there. All right, and as I say, like the other time, we're not going to fill it up. We're not going to need much because we're quite accurate about where we're going now and all the rest of it. So we've got that bit. We just need to good old mix with the paint. Okay, and then we will be good to go. Okay, so again, as you can see, it's not totally coming off of the bristles. It's covering quite well. So we're going to go in with a lighter coat. So usual thing, work out where you're going to hold it, where you're going to grab it. Luckily we have got some bigger areas if we needed to get hold of it. But to start with, we're going to come down here. So we're just going to check our flow. Okay, there comes that darker green. Okay, then we're just going to lay over exactly the same as we did last time. And when you're spraying up to obviously masked areas, we've completely masked, so we don't have to worry about it too much, but just keep it dry. Okay, so what I'm going to do is little light passes. Okay, and then we can go over. But as you can see, we've got quite an area here between the being weathered in and not. So we just need to blend this corner actually in, all right? So we're going to make it quite wet because that will blend then rather than just layering up. Okay, and then we can just dry it down. As you can see, it's looking rather wet at the moment, so we're just going to dry it off. Whilst that's going, we'll move off somewhere else on the model. So I'm thinking what we'll do, we'll probably start down the back end here. Same type of thing, as I said, we've got quite a bit of green going on, so we just need to manage how we're going in. So little build up, just going to sort of blend in just a little bit, just like that. Then we're going to go off somewhere else. Okay, just to get those areas topped up. We can just come in on these inner tops and on the other side. You can see I'm quite a high air pressure. I'm just laying down. Okay, just like so. Making sure you get on those edges, and then we can just dry down this edge and in here. And now we can start actually physically working on it. And as I say, just remember your edges to make sure you slightly roll down on them. But if it's looking wet, just dry back. By drying back, it's just air only. Okay, so we're just drying back now. Just air, nothing else. Okay, around the front of this one, on the other side. Because we don't want it too wet, otherwise what's going to happen is we're just going to get bleed under the tape. But you can see I'm quite punchy and directional with this. Instead of last perhaps times we've done it where you're just blowing down lots of paint, we're not with this one. So I'm just going to get the extractor going. Remove some of this out of the air. Okay, again, if it's ever looking too wet, we're just going to dry it down. And this colour, because it's darker, when we lighten it up, we're going to lighten it with a little bit of grey. Okay, just to give it a slightly lighter tone. But again, we're happy with that one, how that's going now. So we're just going to move off somewhere else. Again, go and knock up a slightly bigger batch with this. Okay. I'm just going to give it a mix up. Now things like around the engines and that, just take your time, build up the colour slowly, because it's really easy to get in there and flood a little bit too quickly and too heavily. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, we're actually going to use this wing. So we're just coming in with a nice light pass over it. Don't forget to do this underside to those leading edges. Again, we're just going to touch in, so we're wanting it just to disappear, and as soon as it disappears we'll stop. Okay, just like that, and then we're just going to cut to air just to dry it down. Okay, whilst that's going we can then just move on to other areas. So this one's at the top here. Start on this edge as well. Just lightly covering for the moment in these areas. So just being careful how we get in, how we grip. And just pop back over these tails now they're drier. Okay, and there we go. So we're getting a little bit cloudy in here, so we're just going to hit the old extractors, pull some of this out, and we just carry on overcoating this as we go.